a worker who moves from 30,000 to earn 70, we know that there's an improvement in pay. And if you also do adjustment along the line, as will be done through the process of collective bargaining, that's important. Then, two important issues we should also raise about that is that this negotiation, as I've told you, is about compromises, because organized labor also knows that organized labor is very conscious of the fact that as you improve wages, you should also retain jobs. And so you also don't price labor out of the market. So we also need outcome such as this, that we make some employers labor to retain workers. Don't forget that if you also raise the pay too high, some employers can say services are no longer required. Government may even talk of downsizing, right-sizing, but I'm impressed that this negotiation, like other previous ones, have considered all those parameters. So make sure that it's the outcome that will retain existing jobs and possibly create more jobs that have been worked out. But on the last note, for sustainable wage improvement, I think it's also important that all the parties must know that for every improvement in wages, there should be improvement in productivity. What will get Nigeria out of the current economic crisis is for us to improve on productivity. So every minimum improvement in pay should also go with minimum of improvement in productivity. But that's why it's also important to work out a series of incentives to make environment very productive for the workers. For the federal government and organized labor to have a wise outcome to not say no, given the volatility in the economy, we can't leave the review of minimum wage for 5 years. We reduce to 3 years. For me, it's extremely revolutionary. It's very progressive. And I think what is important now is to have a monitoring committee to make it work, as much as possible. Of course, there are other issues that are attached to the negotiation process. Don't forget that organized labor and federal government also reached an agreement, the famous 15-point agreement, which first the wage award, presidential wage award. Again, the president has kept to that, at least for the federal public servant, has paid about it. There was also a promise of setting up this minimum wage committee, which has now come to be a reality, and now we now have an outcome. Of course, there was also a promise about provisioning for CNG buses, because at the end of the day, what is important is that there should be value for any wages that are being paid. So if a lot of money workers hand, they go to transportation, which is generally very prohibitive now. And later on, we have CNG buses that may collapse the fare, transport fare. That will go a long way, to really make this nominal increase to become real increase in the wages.